Hello everyone, it's Jin'taan here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the first update made to EVE Online this month, which went live on March the 10th, 2020. This patch brings with it a few notable changes, with the slow march of tierside reaching capacitor boosters, and the introduction of the sweeping market order changes that make up one half of the economic shakeup announced by CCP last month. Notable by its absence, however, is the moon mining changes that were announced alongside that, which now looks set to be coming in the next release on the 24th of March, so you've got just a little bit more time to prepare a stockpile. First up, under the graphics subheading of features and changes, we have the first change made in this patch, which was an update to the textures and shaders associated with moons. Moons will now have higher resolution textures and updated shaders. Next, under the market subheading, we have the real meat of this patch, where significant changes to the fees for updating market orders have been implemented as described in the Broker Relations devblog. First of all existing market tax structure ACL settings have been updated to include the new mandatory minimum of 1%. And when fees are now charged to players for creating or modifying an order in an upwell, read player-controlled structure, only half of the fee will go to the structure owner, and the other half will go to an NPC as an ISK sync. This effectively lowers the incentive to use a player-owned structure for marketing high-value items, for example Plex or other Plex-based goods, in conjunction with lowering the incentive to actually own one and operate one in the first place. However, I don't think that it's likely that we'll see players move from the player structures back to NPC stations for these kinds of items, as the broker fees in these player-owned structures will still be 2% less than those in places like Jitter 4.4. It will just, as the patch notes, introduce a small ISK sync as part of these transactions, reducing the free flow of ISK between players. Next, when creating or updating a market order, the price will now always be rounded to a tick level with a maximum of 4 significant figures. This is something that will effectively remove the practice of 0.1 ISKing, where you put up a buy order or a sell order just a fraction of an ISK above or below that of your nearest competitor, without actually having any noticeable impact on the margins of what you're looking to buy or sell. Now, I've never been a huge market trader, so take my predictions with a grain of salt, but I would assume that this will increase the volatility of prices, as people will now have to significantly impact the actual end prices of their sell and buy orders in order to compete with other traders. But it may also make trading slightly more accessible, as now users don't have to constantly sit and babysit orders to make sure people aren't undercutting them by an effectively insignificant amount to get ahead when people sort by price. And there's another change which will also probably reduce the amount of babysitting that needs to be done on orders, or at least disincentivize it, which is the introduction of a new Realist Fee component, which is dependent on the new order price, and not just the difference between new and old prices as was previously the case. In the past, if you wanted to lower the price of a buy or sell order, this could be done by paying a flat fee of 1000 ISK, whereas now, depending on your skills, you're going to have to pay anywhere from 50 to 25% of the broker's fee that would be charged on placing a new order at the price you're changing your order to be, which may eat into your profits, especially if you're looking at a relatively low margin item to be traded. And it will be very interesting to see what impacts all of this has on the actual nature of the markets going forwards. In addition to this, the margin trading skill has had its name and function changed. It is now called the Advanced Broker Relations skill, and this skill will increase the realist discount rate from 50% at level 0 to 75% at level 5. The skill rank is unchanged, rank 3, and an additional requirement of broker relationship level 4 has been added. Characters who already have advanced broker relations but do not have this new requirement will still be able to train and use advanced broker relations as normal. The skill no longer allows want to buy orders to be created with anything less than 100% escrow. Existing 100% escrow orders will remain until they expire or complete, but they cannot be created or extended by being changed in the future. This effectively eliminates one of the scams that I talked about in my top 5 scams video, the margin trading scam. However, it also impacts traders with a low amount of base capital to work with, as now they can't diversify their order portfolio beyond the actual amount of capital they have to play with to begin with. Still, just due to the fact that this takes away one of the few scams where the UI of the game actively lied to you, I really do have to say that this feels like a good change, despite the collateral damage. Next, under the modules section, we have the module tier side for capacitor boosters, and these are the active charge-based capacitor boosters, not capacitor recharges or capacitor batteries, just in case anyone was confused. As always, I'm not going to go into the very specific details of what module was changed into what new module, but what you need to know is that we've gone from having 4 Tech 1 versions of the capacitor booster down to just 2, with there only being the base Tech 1 version and the compact version. And this new compact version comes with some slight changes from the previous standard of using the highest meta of capacitor booster, with a small nerf to heat resistance and duration, and a slight buff to fitting across all capacitor booster sizes. There's also the slightly interesting quirk that all of the faction micro capacitor boosters have been transferred into one single seed micro capacitor booster module, which is the same module that all of the meta micro capacitor boosters were changed into. Now, as I have literally never seen a micro capacitor booster fit to a ship, I doubt this is going to impact very many people, but if you invested in them, you're probably a bit screwed. Other than that though, this change isn't going to really impact how capacitor boosters are used in a wider sense. They're still probably the best option in most PvP fits, and the cost of getting charges is still going to make them less than perfect for PvE. Although the slight buff to fitting might help ships like the Zealot and Harbinger, which always need to fit a capacitor booster, but struggle to keep up with the demands of that and all the other modules that they need to fit in order to be effective. Moving on, under the miscellaneous header, Savior implants have been added to the Angel Cartel loyalty point stores and loot tables. Under the missions and NPCs header, CCP has added 3 new level 2 missions, which I'm sure will be interesting to hear about. I do wonder if they have updated lore or something to that effect. And finally, under the user interface heading, a collapsible button has been added to the regional market window, asset window, and bookmark window. So you no longer have to go in and manually close all of the things that you've opened up when you've been searching for where a specific module or specific item in your asset window was, which is a pretty nice quality of life feature. So that wraps up the features and changes section of the patch notes, but as always attached to that is the defect fixes, where CCP explains all of the bugs and minor changes that they've made during the course of this patch as well. So let's go through them. Under the gameplay heading, CCP has fixed an issue with the mission Shipyard Theft, which occasionally didn't drop the correct mission items, and they've fixed an issue that could cause the user to be unable to use the radial or right-click menu to control structure fighters. Under the audio and graphics heading, CCP has adjusted the fog intensity in various scenes. They've also fixed an issue that caused sun flares to display incorrectly in certain circumstances whilst using the tactical camera. They've fixed an issue with Stargate particle VFXs being modified by nearby player ships. Fixed an issue that prevented different music tracks from playing in the different tiers and dungeons in Abyssal Space, and fixed an issue that displayed the Vital Shift Ego skin lines on the Garistaz Victory skin for the Cayman. Under the localization heading, CCP has removed the tier-sided modules from the variation tabs of non-English languages. Under the PvE heading, CCP has removed needlejack filaments from unintended drops in all Triglavian sites. Under the technical heading, restricted the in-game log viewer to show only the appropriate logs, and fixed a rare issue where the help pointers could cause the game to crash when realigning. Under text and description, CCP has corrected some minor spelling and grammar issues. Under the tutorial heading, an issue which could cause players to get stuck in the tutorial has been fixed, and minimizing a window now counts towards the completion of any tutorial task that requires a window to be closed. And then finally, under the user interface heading, we have a huge selection of minor fixes. They have fixed the filtering of shared bookmark folders for the admin access search, as it was not treating excluded membership correctly. Fixed an issue where skill points awarded for signing up via a referral link are described as having been purchased in the NES. Fixed an issue that caused the hamburger menu on the market orders window to disappear when merged with other windows. Fixed an issue where dragging a ship into the fitting screen sometimes does not load the fit. Fixed an issue that caused the congrats screen, which occasionally did not display when a seasonal campaign is over for alpha accounts. Fixed an issue where pointer anchor for redeem items had disappeared. Fixed an issue that caused a momentary appearance and disappearance of an 8th circle in the circles representing turret mount points. Fixed an issue that prevented using special characters when using type exact search. Fixed an issue where indication text is grayed out after cancelling the warp. Fixed an issue where timestamp checkbox and today button can be hidden when resizing the calendar's internal borders. Fixed an issue where phrase or item singularity radiation converter could not be pasted into multi-buy. Fixed an issue where hovering over the price per unit icon inside the multi-buy window would not show a tooltip. Fixed an issue where the inventory was missing from the pointer window. Removed a redundant save location option for structures and deployables in sell items windows. Fixed an issue where the highlighted numbers could not be deleted or replaced in some fields. Fixed an issue where setting any number lower than 0 to the starbase attack settings would set the value to -10. Fixed an issue which caused it to be impossible to save values in the in-game calculator. Fixed an issue where the up arrow would not work when navigating through the history of a text or number field. And fixed an issue where inserting more than 13 characters in the bounty field would fail. So if you ever wanted to set a 100 billion ISK bounty on someone, congratulations, you can now do that. Anyway, that wraps up the patch notes for this latest release. I hope as always that you found this informative, and until next time, fly smart.